Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 6th chapter of Higurashi, the eye-opening chapter. Welcome to the world of Higurashi when they cry Kai, which is also called Meakashi. At least the game is. We've reached the halfway point. From the viewpoint of the protagonist, try to find the truth behind the tragedy that unfolds. It's very difficult. It won't be easy to comprehend the motive of the perpetrator. Ooh, motive's going to be difficult. That's an interesting one. Not how they do it, but their motive. Interesting. Interesting. Like, so the who and the why, or the who and the what is going to be easy, but the why is going to be unclear. The who done it's going to be easy, the how done it's going to be easy, the why done it's not going to be easy. Interesting. Well, I'm excited. Let's dive in. This is the start of the last half of Higurashi. This arc includes choices added in the console version. These choices result in dialogue changes that can lead to bad ends. We're gonna see all the bad ends. Yeah. Show me the correct answer so I can kill myself most efficiently. She dropped her beads in the sand, so the girl cried. For 100 years, the girl searched the sands. They might be in the ocean, not the sand. So the girl cried, and for 100 years, she searched the ocean. They might be in the mountains, not the ocean, so the girl cried. How many years pass before the girl wonders if she really dropped them? Frederick Byrne Castle. This is a work of fiction, of course, fiction. And everyone's over 18, or actually, sorry. Wrong kind of visual novel. Anyway. So despite appearances, everyone's over 18. Yes, not that kind of visual novel. 7 keys were attached to the keychain. I have no clue whose perspective this is going to be from. Without knowing which key was the correct one, I had to go by instinct and try every key one by one. On average, I'd reach the correct key within 3.5 attempts. I'd be fortunate if I could open the lock in the first 3 keys, and unfortunate if I did not. I had to think of the worst case scenario, getting the right key only on the very last attempt. I fought with my nervousness, my head ached from it. I put the key in and turned it. I just needed to repeat the small procedure several more times, but I couldn't stop shaking. Damn. Even a 3-year-old kid can do something this easy. Am I more childish than a 3-year-old? Whatever, I don't care if I'm clumsy. I just need to try all these keys. Even in the worst case scenario, the lock will open on the 7th try. Surely. Shion. Oh, right, we changed from, we're in console version where they tell us who's speaking. No way. No way. Hold up. Do we want to go back? I think we should go back and standardize that. Is that mod? That's like mod options? Yeah, F1. Okay, let's see. Interesting. They actually have the dialogue labeled like that now. Okay. Reality isn't always the same as math. What happened was worse than my worst case scenario. None of the keys worked at all. This Shion being surprised. They didn't work at all. Interesting. I could feel the blood draining from my brain. Did I get the wrong set of keys? No, I definitely see a faint marking that says this set is for this door. Am I reading it wrong? Should I go back to the key cabinet to look for the right one? That would mean a huge loss of time. Just by being here, I'm risking so much. Something that could ruin everything might happen at any moment. If I can't open this lock, do I have to go back to the administration office? There's no other choice. It'd be a waste of time to spend another second here. The office wouldn't necessarily be empty at this time. Somebody might come in. I won't be able to look for the right key if that happens. I stood up quickly, as if electrified. I was almost in a panic and so felt the urge to move. My instinct pushed me. I have to go back as quickly as possible. It's dangerous to be here, and dangerous if somebody comes into the office. I cooled my head, making it as chilly as possible, repressing my fear. Calm down, Shion. Mion wouldn't panic in this situation. Maybe I'm just mistaken. Why don't I try the keys one more time? The next moment, I felt a vibration in the air. Somebody was walking somewhere in the hallway. If it were a normal situation, I would have known it. I wouldn't run into them since the footsteps were far away, but at the time, I couldn't think calmly. Shit. Why am I panicking this much because of footsteps? Calm down. Calm down. I should be feeling excited instead. Calm down. Calm down. I just do what I have to do. I ignore the footsteps. They're not an immediate threat. Pretend they aren't there. Listen for something more important right now. Shit. This key should be hard and cold, but it's pliable and hot. Feels like rubber. How could I stick it into the keyhole? Shit. It wasn't the key that was pliable, it was my fingers that were limp. Shit. The key sprang out of my hand and fell to the floor. Oh my god, she's dropping the keys. It shouldn't have made any sound because it was so pliable, but it made a tremendous metal noise, as if somebody pushed over a cupboard. Cling. Sound almost stopped my heart. Oh boy, now someone's gonna come investigating that. I felt dizzy for a while. She's having a panic attack over the potential of somebody being near her. And because of that, she dropped the keys, possibly alerting this potential someone to her presence. I looked around afterwards to see if I caused a disturbance to the surroundings. Calm down, calm down. Nothing's changed. I don't hear anything. Am I safe? Calm down, calm down. Wait, I don't hear anything. What about the footsteps in the distance? Calm down. Are they looking for me after they notice the sound? Wait, what's the sound I'm hearing? Is it my sweat dripping on the floor? Shut up, shut up. How can I hear the sound of my sweat? Calm down. Calm down, calm down, calm the fuck down. I have to clarify. This isn't a prison or a detention center. God damn it, they did that thing. Let's see. Art style is P. This isn't a prison or detention center, it's a private school. Not a normal one, though. So, F1 is giving me... I guess we'll do that one. It costs a fortune just to get in. So she's at a private school. Is she sneaking out or breaking in? Is she trying to get out? She must be going to a secret room in it. It's a boarding school that provides education from elementary school to university. Damn, you are going to be there a long time. But of course, this is Higurashi. You are probably not going to kill someone. Although you might. You might commit murder. It's more likely you get murdered. Again, and again, and again. And you don't come back. You're no Herc. You don't come back again and again. You just get killed. And then we play the story again. Being for girls only rather than a school, you could say it's a factory that manufactures ladies. Some of my classmates here have never even used public transportation. Really, it isn't normal. To me, saying, "How nice to see you," instead of "Hi" is already insane. And calling the teachers sisters gives me the creeps. I hate the morning and evening prayers, to say nothing of Sunday Mass. Wait, Shion's going to a Catholic boarding school in Japan? I didn't even know they had those things in Japan. Now I know. I now know that terrible Catholic boarding schools are literally everywhere. That seems bad for your education. I don't want to memorize Bible passages. The Holy Ghost gives me a rash. If I stayed in this institution for many years, I'd either go crazy or be brainwashed. Most of the girls chose to be brainwashed, but I can't do that. After all, I was more impressed by the political schemes and international trade behind religious propagation than by the love of God, which the Bible teaches. True, true. Because of that, I've been treated as problematic from the beginning. I experienced lots of disadvantages as a result. I realized quickly, so I superficially pretend to be normal. However, I got tired of acting, so I started to reveal my true self from time to time. I became a problem child once more. People started to treat me differently once again.
Ho-ho!
It's fun to misbehave. So Shion?
Ho-ho!
So, Mion gets to go to a regular public school, but is heir to, like, the family business, millions of dollars, and, like, absolute authority over the entire prefecture. And Shion goes to a all-girls Catholic boarding school. Damn, she really got the short stick. She really got the short stick. But hey, how has Nippaz Ed? Someone's testing out all the new audio clips. Beautiful, aren't they? Beautiful. Doing a happy me. I could have done a sad me, though. I was tempted. It's fun to misbehave, but it wouldn't do anything for me in the long run. So, why did I act that way? Why, even though I knew it was gonna backfire on me later on. That one sounds funny, overlaid several times. Nice. Why, even though I knew it was gonna backfire on me later on? There must be a reason. After examining my emotions, I realized I'd completely had it with my surroundings. I was afraid of being brainwashed in this institution. I can't live here. I won't let them brainwash me. 6 months ago, I decided to escape. And the moment I made up my mind, I started feeling alive again. I acted ladylike to deceive the sisters. Pretending became fun once I'd set my goal. Well, I guess we're gonna Shion is pretty fucking cute, I'll give you guys that. Okay, it looks like it's dying down. All those points. But it's funny. Ah, that's good. Shion is super cute. Cute enough to want to take home? Probably. She hasn't killed anyone yet, too. So far, she's at least not a serial killer, unlike her sister. Which, you know, maybe she'll be a killer here, or who knows. They gave me the creeps when they told me with smiles that it was God's influence that I behaved religiously. I laughed at them behind their backs. I took on my classmates' duties to understand the layout of the school and the schedules of the staff and guards. I soon found out that the security of the school was immensely tight because there were many daughters of important people living here. The guards walked their beat randomly. There were surveillance cameras everywhere. The system that kept out intruders ironically also worked to prevent escapees, but that excited me instead. I simulated how to avoid all the surveillance in my head many times. I drew an escape route in the corner of my notes during class and tested if it worked. I strove to acquire any necessary skills for the escape. It was all fun. After all, the situation was cathartic for me. That's who I am. No matter how hard they tried to brainwash me, I'll never change. I've been waiting for the moment of my escape, preparing physically and mentally. First, I needed the courage to escape. I had to be confident of the plan. I had to think deeply about it. I also needed the skills and physical strength. So, how old is she supposed to be? Considering that Mion is older than her and is in like her last year or second last year of high school. So she's probably in like her first or second year of high school? Alright, she's like grade 9, 10. Okay. I imagined all the possible obstacles and trained myself. It was funny because I was able to finally enjoy gym classes, even the long distance running. I needed a perfect plan as well as the physical strength and skills necessary to execute it. And supported by those things, I needed determination. I made sure I had all I needed and executed the plan. I decided to plant a seed in school before the appointed day. The seed was a rumor that one of the male teachers was having a relationship with the student. I won't go into the details now, but that can turn into an enormous problem at the school. The school is limited to girls precisely because their parents want to avoid those kind of problems. I see. Those kind of problems. The kind of problems people just don't want to deal with. And this is a Catholic school, so education on that subject is sorely lacking. Those parents are mostly important people from various positions. If the romance was a fact and was leaked to the public, the principal would have to commit suicide in shame. In fact, even that may not be enough. Damn, they take this shit seriously. They take this shit seriously. In the world of girls, rumors spread fast. Especially when they're separated from boys and are obsessed with dirty thoughts. This kind of rumor goes around really quickly. The sisters try to get rid of that kind of rumor, and they warn the students not to be swayed by it. But apparently they're the ones most swayed by the rumors. This means I managed to make them furtively deal with something shady without contacting families or authorities. So if I disappear in these circumstances, it'd look like I ran away with some teacher. All the male teachers would deny it, of course. However, the school wouldn't believe what they said so easily. After all, there's a dirty rumor going around. She made a rumor about herself? By the time the school finds out about my escape, after they eliminate all the other possibilities, I'll be somewhere safe. Where? Who the fuck knows? I tried hard to spread the rumor I was involved in the forbidden romance as widely as possible. The sisters questioned me a few times, but since the romance was something I made up, they couldn't find anything. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't find any evidence. And after 3 months, I was certain I'd created a solid foundation. I swapped after-dinner duties with my classmates so I could adjust my schedule on this day. I was able to fill them with suspicion about me by doing that. Now they'll definitely suspect I ran away with some male teacher. Tonight was the night. I began my chores after dinner, and after lights out, somebody will find out about my disappearance. My generous roommates would probably wait about 10 minutes before she reports me to a sister, but no longer than that. I had about an hour tops, but that's enough for me. Or so you thought. I took a step off my regular route, the first step towards my great escape. I calmed down and thought, the key shouldn't be wrong. This lock is old and firm. It isn't. Isn't it possible I put the right one in, but the lock was stiff? I only thought I got the wrong one? I realized my nervousness was making me clumsy. The gloves I'm wearing to avoid leaving fingerprints must be getting in the way too. I should try the keys once more. I picked the most probable one and gently inserted it into the keyhole. It's stiff. If I twist too strongly, I might break the key. The moment I thought of giving up, I felt something in my fingertips. The key worked! I slowly opened the door. I could hear the crickets. I don't have to hesitate now, but somehow I'm reluctant to step outside. I can still make excuses up to this point. It might look awkward, but I still can. If I take a step outside, though, there'll be no excuse. If the guards find me, they'll take me to the office. There have been escape attempts before. It's not really so strange. I don't think I'm the only heathen here. It's understandable. There have been people before who couldn't fit in this place. So the school is well aware of the possibility of escapees. I've heard rumors about what happened to those who were caught while attempting to escape. I don't want to believe any of those stories, though. You see, all the school's horror stories involve students who attempted escapes. Whatever, bring it on. I'm not expecting to get a second chance anyway. There'll only be one shot, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted. Things get serious beyond this door. I psyched myself up and pushed the door open. Let's go, Shion! A strong smell was hanging in the air. Is that normal for the outside? I've never smelled this strong, grassy smell before. Is there something going on? Do I have to be wary of it? Should I go back and wait for another chance? Silly. There's nothing strange going on. This smell is something I smell every day. I just wasn't aware of it. It's true, right? Even though I pretended to be cool, I'm nothing but a nervous wreck. Calm down. Damn, what is with the triangles on your chest? Man, they took a page from like the original Tomb Raider, and they're like, how do I draw breasts? Well, you see, it's like a triangle. No, that's too pointy. Round it out. Ah, round triangles. Alright, like, okay. Interesting background. I like Shion, but this is a weird that's a very strange drawing. You can thank the console people for that. I can rely on the map inside my head from this point onwards. I'd researched the locations of all the cameras. I'm confident I'll be able to avoid all of them, but I'm not sure about the guards. They pick their patrol routes randomly, after all. I'll have to take a chance. I can hide myself in most places, but there's an area where there's nowhere to hide for several meters. I concentrated to keep my senses keen. Well, it's all up to luck in the end. Even if I do my best, the guard might find me by mere chance. On the contrary, I might be able to get away no matter how unwisely I choose to move, if I'm lucky. After all that effort, it just boils down to luck, though. After you've eliminated all the stupid mistakes, there's only the lucky mistakes. This is a gamble, after all. When I realized that, I got excited. This is a gamble. I'm trying my luck. It's a game to test the determination to change my life. I feel like that's going to be happening a lot in this game. If somebody failed to escape from this school, that meant they didn't have enough luck to survive in the real world. But I'm different. I'm going to get out of here. I'm testing my luck. Here goes, Shion. I ignored the noisy bugs and concentrated only on suspicious sounds. I heard no threats. The loudest sound wasn't the bugs, it was my own heartbeat. Come on, Shion. Crunch, crunch. Even my own footsteps were so loud they could break my eardrums. I mean, we've gotten through. Now, Shion wasn't the protagonist of the previous novel we saw her in a lot, but when we did see Shion, she didn't do anything that pissed me off, but we didn't have anything from her perspective, so I'm curious to see what she ends up doing and how she ends up acting. Her first step, though, is a courageous one. She's clearly decided how she's going to escape and is going for it, which I think I can approve of. I don't know if I approve of fleeing school, but I think I could approve of how she's executing and attempting this plan. She plans her escape, she memorizes as many of the guard routes as possible, memorizes the camera locations and what they can see, and is going for it. I think that's about as well planned as you can. She knew where everything was and is attempting to execute on her plan. Let's see how it goes. With each and every step, my overactive imagination tormented me with premonitions of unexpected run-ins with guards. Countless times that torture grew too hard to bear, and I thought of running. But if I broke into a run, the noise I made would only draw suspicion. Oh god. That is my weakness in stealth games. I'm way too impatient. I freaking hate waiting. And I always want to just get running through the game, and then it's like you get caught. I can sympathize, Shion. If anyone heard running at a time and place where people shouldn't be, they'd realize something abnormal was happening. But if the footsteps they heard were just walking, they'd likely think nothing of it. Of course, I don't plan on even letting them hear those footsteps. I tried to extend my senses to get as much information as possible. I didn't sense anyone's presence. I might have felt safer if I heard a guard in the distance. I'm worried my senses might not be keen enough to detect anything. If it makes you feel better, guards get notoriously bad at detecting stuff after about 2-3 people get notoriously bad at catching stuff after like 2-3 hours. Less than that even, depending on what they're doing. People need to be stimulated. If not, they get progressively worse at detecting stuff. It's actually a real problem for like radar and stuff, because staring at the radar disc as it spins for like 15 hours waiting to see if enemy aircraft or missiles are incoming is actually like a really hard job, and differentiating missiles from, say, waves and shit is actually a problem. And computers can't necessarily solve. Come on, Shion. I believe in you. I believe in you because you haven't done anything to irritate me yet. And I believe in you because I want to like you. But I mean, I also wanted to like the first protagonist of Danganronpa 3. I wanted to like Kaide, and we all knew where that got us. Somebody might be right behind me without me being aware of it. I didn't want to make any noise, so I stopped from time to time. It's like I'm constantly fidgeting. Stop or run. Something within me urged me to choose from either one. I can't choose to stop. I have to keep going quickly and stealthily. I'm already risking so much just by being here. Running, of course, would be absurd. I know. The urge to run continued to bug me. My head was filled with these thoughts as I went through this dangerous territory. I succeeded in passing through without running into anybody. I couldn't help but sit for a moment and exhale the rotten air from my lungs. My negative thoughts vanished quickly. Just a little more to go. Just a little more. Just through that bush over there is the fence that separates this place and the outside world. And once again, I strongly felt the urge to run. I suppressed that desire and carefully tackled the final step. Alright, she's gotta climb over the fence. Is there barbed wire? Is it electrified? Or is it just a normal fence? The beautiful looking fence didn't seem designed to prevent escapes. While I was worried somebody might see me climbing the fence, it fortunately didn't happen. It's even possible this fence might have a touch sensor. Too late now. It doesn't mean anything since I'm already climbing up. From the top, the fence seemed about 7 feet high. Oh boy, okay, that's a tall fence. I have to go down carefully, just like when I climbed up. I knew that logically, but I couldn't think that way anymore. I chose to jump off with no hesitation, of course. I regretted that during the fall. I got scared. The flight was longer than expected. Couple seconds. Gonna be a rough landing. I didn't land beautifully, I fell onto my butt. There was nobody around to laugh, and I didn't have time to be embarrassed. I looked around to see if anyone heard my landing, and even the crickets weren't interested in the sound I made. I felt relieved, and I looked at my watch. 5 till 8. It was just a 15-minute escape. Putting a number to it really made it obvious how short it had been. Looking back, most of the time I was just asking myself questions and hesitating. I guess I was worried too much. Keep going. You're not out till nobody can see you and you're in another building. Until you're in town. I can't be too relaxed just yet. There's probably cameras in the woods surrounding this place. There's no guarantee I fooled all the cameras. Yep, this place isn't a bank. There won't be a fire alarm going off even if the guards did see me. It's possible they're rushing this way now, and I can't enjoy the air of freedom yet. I hid myself in the darkness and waited. There's still time until the rendezvous. When's the rendezvous? They never told us. Well, now I'm curious. Who's she meeting? Is she meeting a driver? Is she meeting Mion? Who's she meeting? I watched the school premises while waiting, but it looked like nothing strange was going on. I assume she's waiting. I'm surprised she didn't have someone meet her like a block away from the school. Meeting right in front of the school seems sketchy. The building was lit. The beautiful Western-style architecture made it hard to believe it was a school. It should be armed with electric wires, searchlights, and guards dogs like the prison it is. I thought I'd experience a surge of school memories in a situation like this, but it didn't happen. Well, she's breaking out of school, and she's like, am I going to have remorse leaving? No, apparently not. That sort of thing only happens when you have good memories. I have no good memories of this school. There's nothing to remember. But if I could pick a series of images, it'd be the luxurious dinners every night. So my memories would be nothing but international cuisine. Japanese, Chinese, French, and so on. The hell? That's just too funny. I burst into laughter. At that point, I heard a car approaching. I crouched in the darkness. The plate number is the same as I was expecting. That's the car. I jumped out and rushed to the passenger side. Opened the door and got in. I'm surprised she didn't have them wait a block down so they couldn't be seen. So she couldn't see who was getting into it or what the plate number was. Nice to see you, Shion-san. The driver was a man of early old age. He'd be angry if he heard me say that, though. He thinks he's still middle-aged. He looked at my face and learned I'd succeeded. He smiled. The air feels so fresh. I want to eat a burger for a start. I heard they serve excellent food in the school, but suppose you were served nothing but gruel. Huh? No, dumbass. I was just kidding. Step on the gas if you have time to laugh at me. As you wish. Guess I really did laugh aloud. After telling me to buckle up, he accelerated. The cathedral-like school disappeared from the mirror in an instant. It disappeared so quickly, I didn't have time for a surge of dinner memories. Goodbye, lovely school days. I'm gonna fill my stomach with junk food from now on. I'll be forever free from table manners, the ones you taught me. Ha! Serves you right. As we drove, the scenery began to change. Soon we were surrounded by vast fields of crops and a few streetlights. It reminded me that this was just the countryside of Japan, not Europe. Are you hungry? Would you like me to stop somewhere to eat? That's okay, I already ate. I lied. I'm actually a bit hungry. I didn't eat much at dinner to avoid slowing myself down with a full stomach. I appreciated Kasai's offer, but it didn't feel like taking the time to eat while we were still in enemy territory. It's late, so you'll only find vending machines at the highway rest stops. Oh, I heard there are hamburger and oven benching machines nowadays. What the hell? Will that dispense a cup and the ingredients like a coffee vending machine? That's gross. I don't think it's like that. It usually comes in a can. Sorry? I can't stand canned food, still. I thought you might have grown out of it. I haven't, because I can't. She can't stand canned food. She can't! That's so bad. I don't like canned food. Really? Yeah, you don't. Why can't you like it? I just can't. Why are you laughing? Kasai chuckled. He must have been trying to help me relax. He isn't usually so talkative. I'm exhausted. I'm gonna get some sleep. How do I recline this? Look for the lever on the left part of the seat. Can you find it? Oh, here it is. Here we go. Kasai laughed again. Did I do something funny? No. It's just the way you talk sounded like Mion. Well, obviously. We're identical twins. We're perfect copies of each other. When I react to something, so will Mion. When Mion reacts in a certain situation, I'll react the same way. How's sis? I believe she's fine. I only see her when I bring your father to the family councils. Right. She doesn't live in our parents' home anymore. She's living with the hag in Hinamizawa now, isn't she? She moved into the main house around the same time you started going to that school. I responded with disinterest, even though I was the one to ask about her in the first place. The main house is where Oryu, the current leader of the Sonozaki, lives. I'm curious, are we actually going to follow Shion the whole time, as we were promised in Chapter 3? Because Chapter 3 said next chapter will be all Shion. And then 2 chapters later, we're actually getting Shion. Or Shion's perspective, at least. I don't know how long we're going to be following Shion. But this is nice. My grandma, who I call a hag. But when we use the phrase main house, it usually means more than just a dwelling. What Kasai refers to is the same thing. Did she change? Oh, you mean Mion? Yeah, I think she has to have changed if she's living so closely with the hag. Kasai chuckled, yet again. He knows I hate my grandma. I haven't noticed any changes. She's still the Mion-san you know. What about me? Did I change? No, not at all. Kasai responded quickly with a smirk. I haven't seen him for a while, though. It's not fun if he answers this quickly. I glared at him and he burst out laughing. You haven't changed at all. That's admirable since you've been in such a strict school for so long. Damn it. Laugh as much as you want. I'm going to sleep. There's a blanket in the bag. Please make use of it. Thanks. I grabbed the blanket and rolled up in it. I'm exhausted, but I can't go to sleep. It's strange, or maybe not. I must be tired from the escape. It's just that I'm still feeling tense. But I have to declare it once again, if only to calm myself. I'm sleeping. I totally am. Right, it's the third time you said that. Do I have to give you permission to sleep? You're talking too much. I can't go to sleep if you don't quiet down. Sorry, princess. Gamena, sorry, princess. I'll keep quiet now. Fade to black. This interaction with Kasai reminded me of the old peaceful days in Okinomiya. I called it black. Well, I don't really know if I can call those days peaceful. We were in the middle of the damn protests back then, after all. We all united together, and now that I think about it, we pulled a lot of pretty dangerous stunts. If the authorities ever find out what I did, I'll never escape going to juvie. Well, at least half the people in Hinamizawa would be off to prison. We didn't think of them as criminal acts, though. It was a war. It might have also been a festival. A festival where every person joined together in protest. It was a struggle, but it was also fun. It was fun to throw stones at riot police with everybody. We hid ourselves in somebody's home when they chased after us. We'd even go crowd around the police station demanding the release of our arrested comrades. When we snuck into the construction site and sabotaged it, it felt more like we were playing at war than conducting one. I got so excited back then. I felt united with my fellow members, even though they were strangers to me, and that memory warms my heart. Yes, the way it felt back then, it was like helping everyone carry a sacred palanquin through the village, getting all sweaty and exhausted together. Until we all collapsed face first on the ground and shared our excitement and cheers with unfamiliar faces over tea. I was just a kid back then. I remember accompanying young men who worked for my dad out to the village to do various bad things. I was arrested a few times. I didn't feel any different, though, when I was called to the teacher's office for forgetting my homework. Oh, then when I was called to the teacher's office for forgetting my homework. She's like, it's the same as getting arrested. It's basically the same as getting called called on by the teacher when you don't do your homework. Interesting metaphor. The other villagers were furious about the dam project, but for those of us who were kids, it was a pretty fun memory. All that came to a sudden end a few years ago. It wasn't only the power of the protest that ended the dam construction. The Sonozaki family and my dad's organization worked secretly in the shadows. This is top secret information the Sonozakis, but it's said they may or may not have kidnapped the Minister of Construction's grandson in order to blackmail him. The grandson was found a few days later after the abduction, found in the mountains of Yagochi. He didn't simply disappear, and he wasn't demoned away. That means some kind of deal was made secretly, and a year after that, the dam construction plan was halted indefinitely. The police suspected the villagers' involvement and investigated, but they couldn't find any leads. The villagers never betrayed each other. They'd do anything to protect their fellow man. They fabricated fake alibis and fake evidence. It was too easy to deceive the police. The car suddenly shook, snapping me out of it. It must have run over a bump or something. And I suddenly realized my expression was a happy one for some reason. I must be looking forward to going home. Shion-san, are you awake? What is it? Would you like me to take you to the house in Okonomiya? Where else would you be taking me? I answered straightforwardly with a frown. Dasai also chose to reply straightforwardly. It was the family head who decided on your enrollment in St. Lucia, and you ran away from there. You do understand the situation you're in. The school the hag chose didn't fit me, that's all. Shion. I know. Shut up. As the head of the Sonozaki family, the hag's decisions are absolute. This is the one who's giving Mion the thumbs up to kill people and possibly killing people herself, and is like a power hungry tyrant. So you know what? I'm kind of with Shion and being like, yeah, fuck her, but you're putting your life on the line. You're putting your life on the line. I mean, she did have you tortured and killed, so like maybe don't do that one. She did plan to have you tortured and killed, so maybe don't do that one.
Ho-ho!
Bit risky. It's okay, though. I'm still cheering for you, Shion. They're nothing like, say, the 3-second rule. Worse, the decision to confine me to an academy far away from the Sonozaki family was made before I was born. So before her and Mion were born, the decision was made that Mion would get all the money, all the power, all the training, and she would be stuck in a boarding school for her whole life. Wow, what a fucking a Catholic boarding school at that. What a short fucking stick. Holy shit. That's gotta be like that's gotta be a pretty, you got a pretty raw deal there, right? It's like, you go to school miles away from your whole family. Well, your sister, who's your twin, by the way, is taught to manage the family's inheritance. And like your own criminal empire, your own like pseudo criminal criminal empire. That's like a major Yakuza branch. So you're gonna have like $1 gazillion. All right. Yeah. I mean, I guess unless you're, I don't know what you're like. I mean, I guess you kind of like get a decent education out of that. But unless you think like when you graduate you can just like fuck off and never interact with them again, it's probably a shitty deal. And it seems like she wants to go back to her family house, so it's not like she's like, fuck my whole family, they all suck, I'm not interacting with them. She just hates the aunt. Which means she's probably gonna grow to hate Mion, because Mion's becoming mini Oryu, but you know. Alright. Shion was the name they gave me. My sister Mion has a character that means demon in her name. That was to signify she's the successor of demons. In other words, she'd be the successor to the Sonozaki family and its bloodline. The demonic one, that is. My name Shion has a character that means temple in it. That means I'm destined to take the veil and be confined in a temple. Thinking of that reminds me of how much I hate this name of mine. You know what? That's a good fucking reason to hate your name. Alright. That's a legitimate reason to hate your name. It's like, we've given you the name Temple. You're to live. You're to be cloistered away for the entirety of your life, and you're like, are you fucking serious, bro? It's like, legit, are you fucking serious? Get the fuck out of here. For starters, the person known as Shion is an abominable being to the Sonozaki family. It meant the family had 2 heirs. I don't have to cite countless historical examples to explain. It's easy to imagine how that could prove troublesome for succession. And according to our long-held family traditions, one of the twins was to be strangled to death right after birth. Their family is hot garbage if you couldn't tell. Unbelievable, isn't it? What that means is that I have to be grateful to be alive and breathing to this day. I heard the hag actually put her hands around my neck right after I was born. I don't know what exchange took place in that moment. Maybe some brave relative of mine managed to get her to stop. Or maybe she's in an extremely good mood today. You know, we're not even like 20 minutes into this story, and if you didn't already dislike her grandmother, you can like extra hate her now. Okay. It's like, wow, by some stroke of luck, my grandmother didn't strangle me to death. I should be grateful she didn't murder me. Wow, fuck this lady. And then she's like, I can see just being like, fuck this person in the school they sent me to on principle, you know? You know, like, past, it's like, it doesn't matter if it's a good education. Fuck this person. They hate me and they sent me here on purpose It's like, they hate me and sent me here. Therefore this place sucks because it's probably the only thing they could do, the most offensive thing they could do to me. Make sense? I think that makes sense. Anyway, yeah, don't try to strangle me. Why would you have to be in a good mood not to strangle someone? Yeah. Very sensible. We're twins. There's no apparent differences between us, but the first one out of my mom's stomach is named Mion, and the second drew the short straw and got named Shion. This is also a good reason to hate your twin, but it doesn't seem like she hates Mion that much. Everyone else was desperate to tell us apart, but we sisters found that awfully ridiculous. There wasn't any difference between us. No one could tell us apart, even if we only swapped hats. We wondered why all the grown-ups were trying to see the differences. Well, our fun as twins didn't last forever. One day they created an undeniable, clear distinction between Mion and Shion. Mion went to the main Sonozaki house to live with the hag and learn how to become the successor. And I was confined at St. Lucia's. I have no objections to her inheritance. I used to be jealous, but now I feel having to learn about and follow traditions would make me tired. I even feel sorry for Mion. Though I'm not going to be a threat to the family, even if I'm back in Okinomiya. But the hag doesn't seem to think that way. She thinks of me as some kind of evil omen, and that's why she wanted to keep me away from her. This is a terrible person, by the way. Oryu's a terrible person. Can we replace this Oryu with Ryoma's wife, the one who likes Kermit and frogs? Who just wants to give you a frog if she likes you, or requests frogs from you if she doesn't know you? The fun one? It doesn't matter to me. I don't want to see her face either. I don't care if she doesn't allow me to enter Hinamizawa. She can charge 10,000 yen per step I take there. I want her to let me live in Okinomiya where I grew up. When I was little, I was in Hinamizawa, but I don't remember it much. I'm not really attached to it. I do have good memories of my elementary school days in Okinomiya. The town isn't very sophisticated, but I kinda like it there. If you go back to Okinomiya, someone from the family is gonna notice you. They'll report you to the main house. Are you worried that hag's gonna hear about me? That might be a problem. I hope you understand the situation. What, Kasai? Are you telling me, go back to that awful place? No, I'm not. What I'm trying to say is, you want to know whether I'm prepared or not? I hope you understand what might happen. I know what you mean. You'll be held responsible for helping me escape if things go bad, right? You should caress your pinky finger while you can, Kasai, before they take it away from you. Should look forward to being rolled up in a futon mat and thrown in the swamp in that case. Maybe they'll send you to the torture room in the garden. Note that Kasai knows about the torture room in the garden. I heard there's a big torture room in the main Sonozaki house. I've never seen it, though. I heard they used to torture and kill the enemies of the village in there. It's awful, really. I hope I don't end up as a victim of that place. Okay. Everything's gonna be alright. You really resemble your mother in the way you take chances. I mean, that's normal. She's my mom. My mom and dad will be furious if they find out about my escape. I'm more afraid of them than the hag. I don't want to go into details, but my dad's part of the Yakuza. He's in charge of the organization which covers the Shishibone area. He's in a very important position. So is Kasai here. He's an old friend of Dad who really trusts him. I don't know if this is true, but I heard he used to be very aggressive, although he's quite gentle now. I also heard he has a ton of scars. He was in charge of a few large areas, but after he was injured badly in a fight, he retired. And now he's my dad's consultant, aka a drinking buddy. He was my caretaker in my childhood, and now I feel like he's my butler. At first I thought my dad asked him to supervise me, so I hated him, but in time I started to feel like he's on my side. And this is just a hunch, but I think Kasai used to be in love with my mom. My dad, mom, and Kasai were in a love triangle, so my dad took the lead in the end. Kasai couldn't leave my mom entirely, so he stayed around as my dad's friend. I can tell that from the way he acts. He's seeing my mom and me. That's why he says I look like my mom every now and then. It kinda gave me the creeps at first, but he isn't a bad guy at all. And he has a sprite, meaning he's going to be around for a little bit. He's actually pretty funny. I only found that out after I got used to him. What is to hide text? Spacebar. Okay. Not bad for a new sprite. And let's see. Oh. Original. That's console. And that's remake. Yeah, I'm just gonna stick with remake sprites for now. Although, you do get new sprites. You do get more sprite variety in the console one. Hmm. When I thought about escaping, I naturally turned to him. I contacted him in an early stage of my plan and arranged to meet him today. It's like a quantity over quality thing, right? Like, do I go with these ones? I feel like these sprites aren't as good as... They don't look as nice as these ones, but they also aren't as many of the nice ones. Yeah, well. You could call him a conspirator. It's not surprising he's worried about my return to Okinomiya. Considering the rules and traditions, cutting off his pinky finger isn't too far from reality. You think the lines or the designs are very soft in the console version? Yeah. It's like they're... I feel like they like, cut down on the personality a little bit. Make things a little bit too generic. Or like a little bit... They like seem a little bit dated, like they're maybe like 20 years old. They're like 10, 20 years older than you expect them to be. Weird, because the console version is also the one with nice backgrounds. I might be rolled up in a futon mat and thrown into the swamp for real, too. Yeah. Those are both possibilities. And yet, you're still returning to Okinomiya. You know, if I thought there was a realistic chance that I'd be tortured to death, or thrown into, or drowned in a swamp if I returned home, I probably wouldn't return home. I'm going to Okinomiya and nowhere else. That's my hometown. This might be a bit of homesickness, but I don't care what it looks like. So, what are you gonna do? The Sonozaki family's everywhere. Well, I'll lay low for now. If someone sees me, I'll tell them I'm Meon. Ha! Then what? Then after things calm down a bit, I'll start talking to my closest relatives. I know they'll be on my side. I know some people who covered me when I had a fight with my dad once. Let's see. You're trying to create a fait accompli so that the Sonozaki main house will have to accept you later on? I hope that works. It will. There were many people who were opposed to the idea of enrolling me in that school. That decision was obviously made because of the hag's hatred towards me. Don't you agree, Kasai? Yes, I thought that decision was excessive. She couldn't make the right decision because she's suffering from menopause. All the fuss surrounding the damn protest drove her nuts. Kasai smiled. I couldn't go to sleep after all, even though I was rolled up in a blanket. Even though I told Kasai to shut up, I kept talking to him. And in time, I got tired of talking. I could feel the car run smoothly on the highway, and Kasai spoke to me again. Shion. Look. I was tired, I ignored him. I wondered what he wanted me to look at, but I wasn't that interested. Yet I opened my eyes slightly and saw a sign quickly pass by. He probably wanted me to see the sign. It had an illustration of azaleas around the letters that said, "Welcome to Shishibone City." My hometown's coming right up. Chapter 5. Meakashi. Alright. Shion Sonozaki. We're gonna be following Shion the whole time? No? Oh, okay, it's giving us other names. She's still first, but they usually do that in order of appearance, so... We're getting, like, credits. Interesting. We're getting credits featuring the characters' names. Akane is showing up. I assume that's her mother? Or a cousin? Or aunt? Maybe? Akane's probably a woman. We're in the this is set in the 80s or 70s? He's looking back on the damn protest, probably 80s. The notebook's beginning. Alright. New tips. Give me those tips. The notebook's beginning. June 1982. Satoshi Hojo disappeared several days after the Watanagashi festival. There were 3 possible reasons for his disappearance. 1. An accident. Dead bodies sometimes end up in irrigation channels a few months after hit-and-run incidents. But since the police did a thorough search of the area and hadn't found his body, it seems small. Seems like an unlikely case. The second possibility is a self-motivated disappearance. Satoshi had been living in dire circumstances. His close friends actually heard him imply he might run away. The police thought he skipped town after killing his aunt. It seemed plausible considering that aspect. But the police arrested another person for the murder, so this hypothesis must also be considered false. Yeah, not just unlikely, but false. The last possibility is that he's involved in a series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. It's called the Curse of Oyashiro-sama. He fell victim to it and disappeared. Unless Oyashiro's occult power is actually verified, this curse has to be the act of humans. It's only natural to assume Satoshi was made to disappear by someone's will. Based on the second route, we would know that that is Mion or Oryu's will. So the question is whose? The possibilities are quite limited. The culprit is either a member of the Sonozaki family, a member of the three families, or one of their many, many relatives. The police can assume that easily. I need to think beyond that. Who did it? How did it happen? And why did it have to be done? And Shion's investigating this, because she's not in the loop on literally anything. Why did Satoshi fall victim? What was the motive? Who gave out that order? Who actually did it? The mastermind, the culprit, and the truth are all in reach of my grasp. Maybe I'll find them right behind my back. This is definitely Shion running this, by the way. Even so, I can't reach everywhere. There are parts of my back I have to make an effort to reach, clenching my teeth and cracking my joints so the tips of my fingers can barely touch them. The truth is hidden in places like those. I'm writing this because I need to organize my thoughts and memories. No one will read it other than myself, but if somebody does, that means either I threw these away because I no longer needed them, or I fell victim to the curse in the middle of my attempt to solve the mystery. If it was the former, that's fine. If it's the latter, please, help me. Help this powerless young girl. Okay, first chapter, conclusions. This is looking like it's going to be very good. I'm also somewhat sad because this means Shion is almost certainly going to die, but it's looking really good. I mean, our protagonist did survive the fourth chapter. Our protagonist survived the fourth chapter, and it was a non-Keiichi Maibara protagonist, so there's actually a chance Shion survives. However, given that we only really knew her in one route and she was killed in that route, and in the other route, I believe she was, like, also killed. She committed suicide, so the only route that she might have survived is the route where we didn't know her in the first route. She's probably gonna die. But maybe, just maybe, we'll escape and live to see another day. Alright, let's get into chapter 2. I'm looking forward to seeing what we have here in chapter 2. And I just realized I didn't save. Okay, AD 19... Anno Domini 1982. We're using AD and not CE. The fourth year of the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa, also known as Oyashiro-sama's curse, 1 year prior to Keiichi Maibara's transfer. Ah, we're a year away from that. I didn't hear a wake-up chime. You know what the first thing I'm gonna do is? Save. I completely forgot to click save. So excited to start this second chapter. I didn't even click save. That was also a really short first chapter. 1 hour-ish? Interesting. No wake-up chime. I'm not in school anymore. My brain's half asleep, but I'm aware of that. Waking up at the same time as the chime would go off at school doesn't feel good. I can't go back to sleep after this. Still, I'm not going to live a torturous school life anymore. I can make today either happy or boring. It's up to me. That's really positive. I feel like I'm alive for the first time in a while. I didn't have any other clothes, so I was still wearing the school track uniform. It's supposed to have been designed by some famous Italian person, but it just looked plain to me. It really doesn't feel great to still be in clothes from that school. I want to enjoy my freedom as soon as possible. I especially don't want to walk around outside wearing it. I should have Kasai bring me some clothes later. And I should think of redecorating this room. After all, this is going to be my castle from now on. This is a room in a gorgeous apartment building in the suburbs of Okinomiya. The property is one a realtor in my dad's conglomerate obtained after foreclosure due to some sort of dispute. Most of the residents moved out during that. So while there's plenty of rooms, it's a lonely complex that feels devoid of people. Plus, with the exception of the manager and a scant 1 or 2 others, all the residents here are shady-looking people connected to my dad. It probably won't be much longer before the virtuous residents are driven out. Yeah, why do you want to be with your family again? They're all terrible people. The apartment I'm living in used to be the room they'd use for viewings, so it looks like a room in a business hotel. It's fully furnished, but lacking in daily necessities. I'll buy those things over time, though. It's better this way anyway. It'll make it feel more like my own room. I nodded to myself. It might have looked stupid, but it helped psych me up. At the school, there was a TV only in the common room, and we weren't allowed to watch any cable channels. I zapped through all those channels as a form of emancipation. It was early in the morning, so nothing interesting was on, but I enjoyed it anyway. Commercials are fun to watch. She's got to be the first person. First person who ever thought I'd like to watch commercials on TV. I dropped by with the lunch right when I started to feel hungry. Good morning, Shion-san. Did you sleep well last night? Sleeping on the couch was a bit too uncomfortable. As a Japanese person, I still want to sleep on a futon on the floor. This pickled radish is good. Good to hear. Please, let me know what you need later on. I'll try to get as much as I can. Thanks. You don't need to worry so much about me. I chose this life for myself anyway. Your wallet wouldn't last if I started extorting you, right? I have to be serious about my plan. I can't let myself take advantage of Kasai's wallet forever. I think I'm going to start a part-time job. I have to earn my own living. This is the life I chose, so naturally I have to take care of it myself. Reassuring to hear. Are you sure? If you go outside, eventually someone will discover you. I give that thought, which is why I'll need Mion's help. Kasai, would you mind calling the main house for me? When Mion answers, pass me the receiver. Whatever you say. What could your plan be? Kasai dialed the number. It's funny to me that we're calling the main house, even though that's the place I most want to avoid at the moment. You don't think the anniversary is going to have a game-changing meta servant? When, like, every single year it has a game-changing meta servant? Well, there was the year with Da Vinci. You might be safe, they just released another top-tier looper. Hello? Good morning. Is this Mion-san? Been a while, this is Kasai. Yes. Good morning. Could you hold for a moment? I'm letting someone else on the phone. I take the handset. Hello? Can you tell who it is? That voice! It can't be! Shion's supposed to be confined to St. Lucian's! It can't be her! Oh, they forbid outside calls in the academy. But you're talking to me right now? Even my dim-witted older sister should understand what that means. Did you sneak out of the school? Oh, how? That's not important. I really missed you, sis. Shion. That was as far as I could take it. Mion had hit her limit, too. We both burst out laughing, unable to keep up our act. It had been a while since we laughed out loud with each other like this. Been forever, Shion. Seriously, what happened with you? There's not much to. I haven't lied or anything. Wait, you really ran away? Oh, great job. Security wasn't tight enough to keep me locked in there. Maybe the school would be grateful you escaped quietly. If you were serious, it'd be easy for you to blow up the whole building to make your escape. Well, I couldn't have done that, but I might have set it on fire. Kasai smiled at us in amazement, his face a blend of amusement and exasperation. Is it okay to talk to you now? It's alright. Granny's out for a lesson. She's coming home later in the evening. Good, good. We should get together and talk soon. Just over the phone for today, though. Okay. Did anyone report my escape to our grandmother? Nope. We heard nothing. I passed along all the calls and guests for the main family now, so news reaches Granny without going through me. No news reaches Granny without going through me. Okay, so she gets everything. I'm sure she doesn't know. Wow, that's awesome. You really sound like the next leader of the Sonozakis. You know, I don't like that. You should have taken my place. You're the one with the demon, aren't you? Well, keep giving it your all. I'll be rooting for you from the shadows. Anyway, that's not important now. You sound so indifferent. Well, that's okay, I guess. If you hear anything about me, give Kasai a call, okay? I'd like to give you my number here, but I'll keep it a secret for the time being. Sorry. If Granny hears you fled the school, there's going to be all kinds of trouble. I'll be on the lookout for now, and I'll let Kasai know if something happens. Thanks. I also have a favor to ask. I figured you would. Oh, money's out of the question, okay? I never thought I could pester you for that. I wanted to ask you for a little help with my part-time job. I see, that's it. What do you need? We can communicate fast in a situation like this. We don't have to get into details because we know what's on each other's minds. Uncle Yoshiro's on my side, isn't he? I'm gonna try and see if I can't get a part-time job at one of the businesses he owns. I'll call you when I know my shift. So I just have to disappear while you're working, right? That's a little Taxing. Just to disappear while you're working. What are you saying, sis? Are you turning down your only sister's request? Seriously? Alright, I'll do it. I wouldn't want to see how you'd retaliate if I turned you down. Thanks. I'll buy you a cake from Schlank Bertha's. I'll throw in tons of pretty tarts too. Shion? Schlank Bertha closed last fall. Huh? Oh, is that so? Yeah, the owner had a stroke. He reopened the store once, but he got sick again, so he had to shut it down. I see. That's a shame. I won't be able to eat their Mont Blanc cakes to my heart's content anymore. I was disappointed my favorite cake shop closed down, but more so this town changed without my knowing while I was gone. It was kind of regrettable. Are there any other changes I don't know about? Yeah, there's some. I'll tell you when we meet up next time. Thanks, I'll tell you about my school life. Let's set a date. I'll call you. Alright, I'll see you then. Mia? What is it? How are you? I'm fine. Glad to hear that. I'm hanging up now. Okay, see you. It's really been a while since I last talked to her. Alright, well this is going smoothly. I think this is going smoothly. Shion's definitely on top of things. I put down the phone and heaved a sigh as Kasai brought in some tea. So how'd it go? Remember Uncle Yoshiro, who was in favor of me staying? I'll talk to him about my escape and ask if he can hire me to work at one of his stores. Are you sure? Some other relative might find out. That's why I asked, is this a favor? I'll contact her when my shift is set, and she'll disappear while I'm working. You get the picture? Kasai looked puzzled. It's not really that difficult to grasp. It's simple. If someone finds me at work, I'll tell them I'm Mion. You get it now? Normal people wouldn't buy this kind of plan, but Kasai knows too well how easy it is for me and my sister to change places. Audacious, or shrewd, I should say. I'm impressed. Is that a compliment, Kasai? Kasai looked amazed. If things go south, it'll affect him too. Considering the rules of my dad's profession, he won't be able to get away with a mere apology. That's why he doesn't want me to do anything too risky. I think I have to make it up to him since he helped me escape, even knowing that risk. Alright, no problem. If I find someone talking bad about you, I'll beat him up. Thanks so much. I knew I could rely on you, Uncle Yoshiro. Uncle Yoshiro pounded his chest with his fist after offering me his assurance. He seemed glad I turned to him first. I'm happy to help, since I'm so impressed you're trying to support yourself. If you were here for money, I'd turn you into your grandmother right away. What? You're scaring me, Uncle. I knew he was reliable. He understood my situation straight away and promised to help. Manager, here's the shift chart. I'll put it here. One of the store clerks brought out a work schedule. There's many things I'm unfamiliar with written on it. How much can you work? That depends on our respective schedules. I hope I can get in what I want to, when I want to. That sounds a little irresponsible, but I know you're in a difficult situation. I'm depending on Mion for my work. Our schedules have to match. And of course, Uncle Yoshiro understood that. But I also knew he couldn't afford a selfish part-timer who only works when she wants to. In the end, he decided to hire me as an office helper and not an official worker. As a temp, I wouldn't have a work schedule. My uncle also decided to pay me out of his own pocket. It's fine, as long as I can make enough to support myself. Sure. I expect to get what I'm paying for, okay? And don't call me uncle in office either. Sure thing, manager. Thanks for hiring me. Good, you get it. Once all the business talk was over, my uncle hounded me with all sorts of questions. He asked me things like, what was it like in a prestigious girls' boarding school? And so on. Apparently, there were all kinds of rumors going around about the St. Lucia Academy I was confined to, and everyone was curious about it. I added a few embellishments of my own as I explained how unordinary life at the school was. My uncle looked extremely delighted to hear all the little details about life in a secret garden for girls. Horny bastard. Remember, this is the uncle running Angel Mort. You can even see the iconography at the bottom left. Once my uncle was satisfied, it was my turn to ask all kinds of questions. I wanted to know if anything peculiar happened while I was gone. I won't be able to act like Mion unless I can fill in the gap of information left in the last 2 years. There haven't been many big changes. It's been quiet since the end of the dam conflict. I went to the academy only a bit after they froze that project. There's still a bit of tension then. Even after they shut down construction, things were still tense because the project wasn't entirely cancelled. The Onibuchi Guardians disbanded about a year later. There was a big ceremony held at the shrine. That's when the damn conflict officially ended. That's right, after I was imprisoned. Is everyone slacking now that the conflict's over? Well, I guess you all had fun playing a war back then during the damn protest, didn't you? Try to imagine how much suffering the adults went through every time they had to come pick up their kids from the police station. Well, I can't deny that. It was like a festival for us. Uncle Yoshiro seemed exasperated at how differently kids and adults treated the conflict. Oh yeah, there was that dismemberment murder, wasn't there? The one where the fucking jerk of a construction manager got split into pieces? They still haven't caught the culprit behind that, have they? Did they finally catch him? Come to think of it, I don't think they caught him yet, no. It happened on the night of Watanagashi, didn't it? I remember everyone making a fuss about it being Oyashiro-sama's curse. That was pretty scary for us kids. Yeah, Oyashiro's curse. That happened the year after, too. That's right! That was scary, too, wasn't it? Who was it? The guy who supported the dam died in an accident, right? Hojo, wasn't it? It happened on the day of Watanagashi, once again? Everyone went crazy saying it had to be a curse. That was horrifying. Definitely. The construction manager everyone hated was killed and dismembered on the night of the Watanagashi. That incident on its own was more than intense enough for us kids. Worse, part of his body was never found, which made it almost a ghost story amongst us. We seriously believed the severed right arm was roaming in search of the body it belonged to. It didn't take long for the rumor of Oyashiro's curse to become a topic of discussion among occult researchers and the like. Considering the circumstantial factors, even so, the rumor faded after about a year. After the dam project was officially frozen, we held Watanagashi purely as a festival. But the curse, it struck again. The victim was a pro-dam activist who lived in Hinamizawa by the name of Hojo. He and his wife were on a trip when they fell from a cliff to their deaths. It was considered an accident. Technically, police are still searching for the wife's body. If I remember correctly, they never found it. But once again, the man most worthy of Oyashiro-sama's curse fell victim on the night of the Watanagashi festival. So the fuss over the curse rose up again. Until then, Oyashiro wasn't considered very important. At least in the world of us kids, it was just the name of the object of worship in the shrine, nothing more. I'd seen boys pissing on the archway, and I once stuck my hand into the offertory box. The existence of a god didn't matter much to us. But after 2 consecutive occurrences, the kids no longer doubted the existence of a curse. We were all shaking in fear of Oyashiro-sama, and everybody suddenly became interested in old stories about him too. We quietly listened to musty old stories the others had to tell. We started genuinely believing the tales of Oyashiro-sama's miracles, which any of us would have laughed away before. His rules were awfully simple and clear. Enemies treading into Hinamizawa will be cursed. Villagers leaving the village will be cursed. What defined the village was terribly vague. Were we never allowed to leave Hinamizawa village? Was going to Okonomiya safe? Was a single step enough to be out? Was a 3-day, 2-night hot spring trip still safe? We tried to draw a line. It was decided in the end, if you had a house in Hinamizawa or Okonomiya, you were safe. It was okay to go on trips if you had a house in either area. I know it's weird, but those rules were made up by kids after all. According to those rules, I'd be cursed since I lived at the boarding school in such a remote area. Yeah. I couldn't say it out loud because I felt embarrassed, but in fact, I was a little scared of the curse. Happened again the year after. Sure is scary when it happens 2 years in a row. I still believe in Oyashiro's power. Shion, what are you saying? Don't you know? No? About what? Oh, right. You went to that school before it happened. That's why you don't know. Uncle Yoshiro grimaced as if he said too much, as though he'd mentioned something I shouldn't know about. What is it? You can't leave me hanging like that. Well, I think you're mature enough now. Hey, if you think my body looks underdeveloped, you should see an eye doctor. Either that, or you're a pedo. Okay. That was Shion saying that. She's like, if you think I look underdeveloped, you're a fucking pedo. Alright, I'll talk. It happened again the year after that. What happened? What are you talking about? Tick when I was very little. I always had this tick before I heard something bad. It was like a gnome who lived inside me was giving me a warning. Like he was poking me with a small needle. When I felt this tick before my parents called me, they'd always either chide me or tell me something bad. So I used to run away when I felt it. And now you're feeling it again. My senses seem to have grown dull over the years. Even though my gnome poked at me, I just sat there. The year after the death of the Hojos, it happened again. Last year, in other words. It happened on the day of the Watanagashi again? 3 years in a row? That's right. You know there's a shrine in Hinamizawa? The Furude Shrine? The priest suddenly died on the night of the festival. They said the cause of death was an unknown illness. The same night, his wife threw herself into the swamp. There was a big uproar. The mayor even had to hold an emergency meeting. So next is the murder and Satoshi's disappearance, right? I don't think the bit about the illness is true, but his death was very sudden. The priest was busy preparing for the festival, and he'd gotten sick around that time, so I guess he died of a heart attack or something. Crazy, somebody died on the day of Watanagashi again. It's like the 3rd time in a row. Unbelievable, so many died on the same day. The coroner didn't find anything unusual about cause of death, so nobody suspected anything was wrong, but you're right, the whole situation is abnormal. Only the people likely to be cursed died on the day of the festival. There must be something behind this, whether it's conspiracy or a curse. There has to be. I decided to meet with Mion at the library near the Okinomiya train station. It's not that I don't trust Mion, but I don't want to let her know where I live. Not many people use the library, so I won't see anyone from Hinamizawa here. It's very convenient for meeting someone in secret. After we discussed my life plan and work schedule, we moved to Smalltalk. I've been away from this town for years. Things have changed. I asked Mion about them in detail in order to fill in the gaps. Well, everyone was talking about various things. I brought up what Uncle Yoshi told me. I'm going to call him Uncle Yoshi. His name's Yoshiro, but that's Yoshi, right? About Oyashiro-sama's curse. Even before I left town, the curse had already struck twice. The dismemberment murder on the first year left quite an impact. The year after, the pro-dam activist couple fell off the cliff on the day the villagers were enjoying their first Watanagashi festival since the dam was indefinitely frozen. This one also left quite the impact. Evil construction site manager was punished, and the next year the traitor to the village met the same fate. If it happened only once, people would have concluded this was a bizarre coincidence, but when it happened 2 years in a row, people were far more likely to believe in a curse. I know up to that part. And after I left town, the curse struck again for the 3rd time. People talked about the curse more intensely than ever, both in Hinamizawa and Okinomiya. I'll have to rethink this. The curse has drastically gained credibility while I was away. It was unclear whether the first 2 incidents were true, but after a continued 3 years straight, people's doubts changed to convictions. Even though the priest who died on the 3rd year wasn't an enemy of the villagers, the fact was, people in Hinamizawa didn't care for him much, and that added even more credibility to the idea. Wasn't the priest hated by a few? Especially by the committee members? Yeah. Oh wait, hold it. Does she have a different sprite? This is her normal sprite, I believe. Yeah, they criticized him for being a fence sitter. Toward the end of the damn conflict, the protesters were all taking aggressive stances, so they didn't like how soft he was being. The priest looked strict and scary. The way he spoke was always so formal, but in reality he was warm and reserved. Maybe it's because he was a son-in-law, having married into his family. Sure, the priest and his personality were the perfect fit for managing the shrine that was used for the summer festivals and village meetings. That gathering spot style atmosphere of the shrine. It changed completely when the damn war broke out and became the headquarters for the Onigafuchi Guardians. Prior to the damn protest, hardly anyone worshipped Oyashiro-sama. Of course, the devout elders paid worship, but the average person treated our god like how you'd treat fortune-telling. Once the protest began, he was suddenly hauled out as the symbol of the village's resistance. Tracing his faith back to its roots, it was an exclusive elitist faith that believed its members were descended from a holy ancestor, different from the masses at the foot of the mountain, and those tainted masses should never come near the village. Of course, such self-centered ideology wasn't acceptable anymore in post-war Japan, so this doctrine was abandoned over time. Still, the idea remained, and they dredged it back up to fan the flames of nationalism and unite the town against the Dam Project. With the revival of those ideas, things only grew more radical by the day. This is a new shot of Hinamizawa. This is Hinamizawa, I think. Looks like a bunch of houses. It doesn't look like there's any stores here. Maybe on the far right that might be a store. It looks like it has a sign on top. It didn't take long for the Guardians to become aggressive. After that, we were in a state of war. 100 million burning as one. Kill the white savages. Want naught but victory. Adults and kids were both gnawing at the bit, avid to repel the foreign invaders. Describing it makes it sound kind of awful, like a reminder of the dark times of wartime Japan. Wait, what part of that is cute? Or is the fact that the war is so tiny and has so few fatalities that what makes it cute? Like I said before, for us kids it felt less like a war and more like a village-wide festival. Yet despite calling it a festival, dissenters were treated quite coldly. They take that shit seriously. Their heartlessness lived up to the expression, wartime regime. The Hojo couple who voiced their acceptance of the Dam Project in the midst of that atmosphere were truly brave. On the second year of the curse, they died in an accident. Accident, he says. Everyone believed it was the curse without question. They were branded traitors and enemies of the village. They faced worse than being ostracized as traitors. Everyone gave them the cold shoulder and talked behind their backs. The only person who didn't treat them badly was the priest. While the priest never objected to the anti-dam movement, he never objected to the Hojo's advocacy for accepting the government's eviction and restitution to rebuild new lives. Those unforgivable Hojos became a slogan as the three families, especially the Sonozakis, united the village by turning them into scapegoats. So they must have found it shameful to have a fellow member of the three families approve of that, especially when it was the priest of the shrine that became a symbol for the Dam Project. Or protest. As central figures in Hinamizawa, the three families were the backbone of the Onigafuchi Guardians, so a difference of opinion was undesirable, and the priest was never accused of anything. But secretly, people whispered he was a heretic and unfit to serve as Oyashiro-sama's priest. That Oyashiro-sama's curse would soon strike him down, along with other rumors. Don't you think the priest was more mature than those around him? He was pretty cool, managing to keep his head and remain neutral while everyone around him grew fervent. I thought Mion would share my opinion when I chimed back in. So when Mion gave me a forced smile and didn't agree with me, I was taken by surprise. I mean, that's not a surprise, right? From our perspective, the viewer's perspective, that isn't a surprise since Mion is involved in all the killings, including the priest and the Hojos. Which is kind of silly because they already like ended the Dam Project, but she's just like killing people left, right, and center now. So it's kind of silly. You're really mature. I think you would have cooperated with the others. You should have appeased them. He wasn't just the head priest, he was head of the Furude family. That was a time when all of Hinamizawa needed to be united, so having one of the families, who were supposed to be examples, disturb that harmony was... I don't know if it should be called mature. It's hard for me to tell. I was taken aback. I barely managed to say the following. Even though we're identical twins, we still had our own unique identities. Even every now and then, our opinions differed. I mean, Mion is literally being groomed by her parents and grandparents to be the leader of the a Yakuza leader, so like, and like the kind of person who wants absolute power over everything in the village. Because even in like the first game when we did basically nothing wrong, we did literally nothing wrong. They still had us murdered because we were like foreigns or some shit. So I don't fucking know why they killed us in the first game, but we know we probably died on Mion's command, so She's kind of like... She's kind of like the person who wants absolute control being groomed by someone who wants absolute control. Because remember, Oreo never gives orders. She just says, you know, I'd like it if this person didn't exist, and then suddenly that person disappears. Then suddenly that person's fucking dead the next day, right? So, like, everyone just, like, everyone does their best to basically reshape the world to her wishes, whoever she wants it done, so... yeah. If you're being groomed to be someone like that, and you're like, wow, I wish everyone in the village was reunited, this guy's fucking dead. This guy's fucking dead. Like, the minute he says anything different, she has him fucking murdered. That makes perfect sense. Usually it's only over some trivial matter. We've never had a difference of opinion this big. It wasn't an enjoyable feeling. I decided to probe her some more. I don't really like the word you used, appease. What are you trying to say? Are you saying the priest should have thought of the village as a whole and kept his opinion a secret? Meaning people shouldn't assert their self before the whole? I'm not going that far. I just thought as a member of the three families, he should have acted more carefully. That's what I mean. Meon faltered a bit as my tone grew more like a cross-examination. I realized I was speaking a bit too harshly. I mean, she did use the phrase appease. But Meon expressed was probably the more mature opinion on our scale. But when everyone needs to work together to stand up to a vast enemy like the government, people should refrain from actions that would destabilize that alliance. But he's not actually opposed, he's being neutral. Which is probably the right solution in his case, as he's not intended to be a political person, and he's probably leaning towards them by offering his house as a meeting point and a base of operations. He's like, I think everyone deserves access to the shrine. The shrine's my job to maintain. You guys can use it for this, you guys can use it for that. I might deny it to the police, because remember, the police couldn't actually go on couldn't actually access the shrine, because it's private property. So he's like, I'm not going to actively stop them from doing anything, but I'm also not going to treat people... He's also, like, trying to grant people access to religion, because it's probably more important from a religious figure's perspective that the spiritual needs of people are being met than that he's supporting political ideologies, I think. That would make sense. That would be, like, the better way to be... That would be, like, the right way to be a priest, although obviously that's not true in, like, basically anywhere. You're a figure of with a lot of authority in your community, so you're probably expected to make a decision. But the most important thing should theoretically be spiritual well-being of the people under your care. If you're like a priest, I guess. No, I guess that's what it should be. Writing it out and reading it now, I can understand that. I wasn't mature enough to agree to such a totalitarian idea, though. Or maybe it wasn't me at all. It was Meon who'd made that mature judgment. We'd been separated over a year, and I'd been away from the town. In the meantime, Meon had been training to take over leadership of the Sonozakis. She'd been treated as such even before I was confined to that institution. She sat next to the hag in ceremonies, and in meetings she took her place when the hag was absent. But that was just it. We were never that different. Meon has become very much like a successor since I've been gone. Uh-huh. You sound like a grown-up now. You seem to get what I was implying. Oh, am I thinking like Granny now? That's good. You're the successor. You shouldn't think like the rest. You've definitely learned the art of ruling. I never learned anything like that. I'm just trying to act like her. Yeah, she's a terrible person to learn from. You can do it easily, too. I don't want to. It's your role. Well, don't try too hard or you tire yourself out. I didn't mean to be cold, but Meon seemed to take it that way. She smiled as if trying to pacify me. I smiled gently back at her. Meon. What is it? Our separation's always been tough. Our names, the places we live, our bodies. Meon looked down with a serious face, but looked right back up. Maybe you think I'm jealous of that, but I'm not. We used to have some disagreements, but they were always small and forgettable. You don't have to feel sorry for anything. Up until birth, we were perfectly equal. Right after birth, we were separated by grown-ups' priorities. I used to get mad about it when I was little. There's no denying that, but we don't have to start a disagreement over it. Meon seems to understand what I'm trying to say. We each have our own characteristics, even though we're identical twins, and only we know the differences. We're also dependent on each other because of them. Mion seems more dependent. She always worries about me. If somebody gave her a cookie, she'd divide it in two and give one half to me. If somebody gave her a candy, she'd wait until I said it was okay to eat it. On the contrary, I'm cold. I don't care about others if I'm satisfied. I put the candy in my mouth right away. I have to emphasize, I don't hate her. I'm well aware she loves me. We both know that, but Mion must have been hesitating to put the candy of the successor in her mouth and waiting to see if I was okay with that. To your best, Mion. I'll do my best as Shion, too. I tapped her forehead with my fist lightly. Mion put her forehead against my fist as if trying to feel the warmth. She's Mion, and I'm Shion. She's the successor of the family, and I'm just a vagabond. It's not a distinction, but rather our individuality. We shouldn't worry too much about the other anymore. We should feel relaxed, living as who we are with our own characteristics. I didn't have to say that out loud. We can communicate by touch, just like this. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Shion. No worries, Mion. Let's talk to each other whenever we want to. Like we've always been. They'll never change, okay? Okay. Mion kept nodding with her forehead against my fist. I said goodbye to Mion before it turned into evening. We had talked about things that happened during my time away, and I enjoyed having that chat between sisters very much. There we go. We got Mion some screen time, and Shion some. Well, Shion's gonna be the main character of the story. She's getting a lot of screen time, but Mion's getting a little bit here. We were able to dissolve our unsettled emotions. We didn't used to do that. Maybe it's because we hadn't seen each other for over a year. It was late afternoon. My heart felt lighter now. I stretched and I looked up at the sky. The sky was clear and blue and far away. No matter how tall I grow, I'll never be able to touch that sky. I'm Shion Sonozaki, a girl who escaped from the life she was forced to live. Nobody will praise me for what I did and for what I'm going to do, but this is what I chose. Aha! I can think maturely too. I psyched myself up. I should go shopping for dinner. Though I have Kasai's help, I need to save money. I love junk food, but it'd be cheaper to cook. Ironically, the culinary classes from that evil school will come in handy. Why not go to the shopping district in Kami-Yoshiki? I'm going there, then. I need to take the other street. The cool breeze in the late afternoon felt nice on my skin. Kasai came to the door while I was putting stuff I bought into the fridge. Wait a sec. I'm coming. Why does Kasai not have keys? Shouldn't Kasai have keys so that she doesn't have to open the door? I mean, there is a peephole, but I don't know if she can see in it. Like the... Did you go grocery shopping? You must be tired. I don't get tired from grocery shopping. Do you want dinner? I bought enough for you too. Is that alright? If you say so, I'd be happy to. Kasai looked curious about what I'd cook. You don't look like you believe my cooking skills. You'll pay for that later. Are you putting these in the refrigerator? Are you putting these in the refrigerator? I'll do it. Oh, thanks. Is this amount of rice enough for two? Here I go. Sai skillfully packed food in the fridge while glancing at each item in turn. You noticed something, Shion. You still hate canned food. I hadn't bought any. That was, of course, on purpose. Must be hard to avoid it. I know it's illogical. Maybe I could eat if someone forced me to. No, on second thought, I definitely couldn't. I'm sorry, I know I was out of line then. Please forget about that story. Shut up. Alright. Men shouldn't hang around in the kitchen. Go watch TV or something. I chuckled and left. I know this sounds stupid, but I hate canned food. If someone told me there was canned food in a meal I ate, I'd throw up. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Is she gonna tell us why? Because I'm guessing it's because, like, her family originally grew rich on selling, like, canned people, and it's, like, disturbing to her to eat any canned anything. I'll be honest, I don't like, I mean, there's some canned food I like, but it's mostly soups. Mostly soups and not vegetables. I don't care for canned vegetables. They just taste worse. Like, you can get canned corn or canned peas or canned beans. But they always taste worse. Like the like frozen is always better for vegetables. Oh. But yeah, okay, that's interesting. It started with a silly thing. Kasai told me a horror story when I was little. You know, one of those urban legends. About meat made from an unknown source. Like those rumors about how there's worm meat mixed into burger patties or dog meat in beef bowls. There's now a rumor that there's worm meat in in ground beef. You know what, that's kind of fair. They are actually putting health warnings on ground beef now. Actually. Or they're planning on putting health warnings on ground beef in Canada. Weird ass thing. Moderately surprising since there aren't health notices on like chicken or something. They're doing it just on ground beef. Which is kind of funny. It's like, what's gonna have health warnings on it in Canada? Cigarettes and ground beef. Why ground beef? Fucked if I know. I think it's actually due to like it was supposed to be due to like trans fat content, I think. Which is weird because fat's not necessarily bad for you, and the reason people ate fat is because of a really good marketing campaign by the fucking sugar industry, but anyway. Beside that, they're even putting it on ground beef with ultra lean ground beef that also doesn't have trans fat, so it's not necessarily the trans fat amount. I don't actually know why they're doing it. It's a fucking weird choice, but apparently it's not safe to eat ground beef, and you need to be warned away from it. More than for, say, eating a box of cookies, which is kind of weird. I would have thought if someone pointed a gun at me and told me to pick what was the least healthy food, I would probably have picked a box of chocolate cookies over a package of ground beef. But apparently that's not how the government views it. I don't know how that works. It's like really? Alright. Ground beef is somehow less healthy than a box of cookies. Don't ask me how that works. Even though the food pyramid is basically sponsored by bread. Sponsored by the bread and milk industries. I don't know what the fuck they're doing there. It's like at least that had some semblance of reality, where it's like vegetables are really important and you should eat a lot of them, and it's like, yeah, you don't really need that much grain, but you probably shouldn't eat any of those sugary stuff. I just don't fucking know how they get ground beef is unhealthy. That's a weird choice. But I guess that's one way to promote organic, or one way to promote the what are they called, the non-meat burgers. Non-meat burgers wouldn't have fat content in them. They wouldn't have actual fat because they're not made from animals' meat, so they can't include fat, therefore they're safe to consume. I guess that's how they're doing it. They're switching you from ground beef to fake ground beef, which is fine. It's fine if you want to do that. It seems like a bad way to do it by legislating warning on all packaging, but alright. Sai had fun telling me one of those stories because of how scared I got. He had fun, but obviously I didn't. I even started to cry in the canned food section of a supermarket. That's how much I hated it. I don't freak out like that anymore, but I still don't like canned food. Today your sister-in-law flipped out because you used the same grill for meat and her not meat burger. I mean, if she's vegetarian because she literally can't eat meat, like there's something like she's allergic to red. Does ground beef count as red meat? I think it does. If she has like an allergy to red meat, it's actually really bad. If she's like just a vegetarian and you're cooking at home, I feel like it's like yeah, get over it, dude. Like, we'll make best effort, but we're not gonna clean stuff. She doesn't eat meat because of animal cruelty. Yeah, and you're not like there. So like, she's sort of like, I think it's sort of fair. Like, I don't know. From her perspective, it's like, I didn't ask for this, so I don't want to eat it. There's potentially animal grease in your meal that you didn't want because you don't want to participate in like animal cruelty stuff. So you're putting food in her. You're putting something in her food that she doesn't necessarily want by like cooking on the same grill. But on the other hand, it's like if I'm cooking on like a one-person grill, like fuck off. Like I don't have like a full-size barbecue, right? I don't have a full-size barbecue. I don't have multiple grills. So if someone was to ask me to do that, be like replace the grill, I'd be like, buy a second. You want me to go out and buy like another $100 grill just to cook your special meat for you? I'd be like, fuck off, man. I already went out and bought you ultra expensive burgers. Yeah, you can. It's reasonable to ask someone to have like separately prepared food within reason, I think. Especially for allergies. There's like slightly lower requirements on that for some other concerns like that. So I'd say like, okay, well, I can cook yours after this or before, but I'm not going to replace the grill or spend a long time on it. Or you could just make a meal that doesn't actually include anything that's meat, right? You could just make a vegetarian meal. That's perfectly reasonable instead of making burgers. Just make some curry or some. Go look up a nice curry recipe. Just look up a nice vegetable curry. Look up a nice vegetable curry. Braise some beef or something on the side, and then mix that into the stuff you serve yourself. She eats fish, and I mean that's inconsistent for the animal cruelty stuff, but that's inconsistent. Eating fish is inconsistent for the animal cruelty reasons for raising things in farms. Most fish are raised in farms. That's a little bit inconsistent, but I mean it's not really. You can judge her for that, but you can't really say you're gonna like ignore that. Yeah, it's a pescatarian if you eat fish. She said she likes it. But there's nothing... You can say, I like this, but I'm not going to do it because I think it's morally wrong. That's perfectly reasonable. If she says she's not eating meat because of animal cruelty, I would be more willing to call her out for eating... I think it's reasonable to call them out for eating fish or eggs, or anything with eggs in it, because that's unreasonable. But it's morally wrong to bring people into the world. Yes, it's probably also wrong, but I mean, people still eat meat. But like on her moral scale, it's like wrong to like do that. So you could call her out for fish, but I don't think you can call her for liking food. Like, yeah, it tastes good, but it's wrong. It's like if you like doing something wrong, you don't have to do it. You can say it's wrong even if it's enjoyable, but I'm not gonna do it. Like, that's not inconsistent. There's plenty of things you could say. There's plenty of things you could theoretically say you enjoy doing, but you acknowledge are wrong and aren't going to do. It's like, maybe you're a klepto and you like stealing, okay? Like, you can say, I like stealing, and then also do your best to not steal, and try not to steal it. Like, try not to, like, rob a fucking store, every store you go into. Like, that's not inconsistent. That's you being like, well, I can see I like this, that, you know, I enjoy this, I got a rush out of it, and I'm gonna do my best not to fucking do it, because I don't think it's right. That's perfectly reasonable, and consistent. Former smokers like smoking. I don't think smoking... I agree with that, but I think smoking's slightly different because smoking may not be considered morally wrong. It might just be something that's self-harm. It's like inflicting harm on yourself and others around you, but a lot of people don't seem to see it as morally wrong, and also like don't stop because it's morally wrong. They stop because they want to better themselves rather than because they think it's wrong to smoke in general. You don't eat vegetables, they're disgusting? I mean, that's fine. I think if you say I like refuse to eat vegetables, then you should probably be treated the same way as someone who's vegetarian, and they shouldn't serve you anything that contains vegetables. If you're like I refuse to eat it, if you're like I don't want to eat a single thing that contains any vegetable, then go for it. And put whatever arbitrary limits you have, but it's gonna be pretty hard sometimes. Because like I'm pretty sure they use fucking corn syrup and everything. Pretty sure there's corn in the fucking gasoline. Alright. Yeah. So, since you don't like it, I don't force myself. I can live my life naturally avoiding canned food. That's fair. There's not a lot of canned food that you desperately need other than, like, pasta sauce. If you eat Italian, you're gonna have a bad time. You're gonna have a really hard time if you're gonna be making pasta sauce from tomatoes every single time you do it. You can do it, but it's gonna be pretty exhausting to make your own pasta sauce. That's not only expensive, relatively speaking, because you can buy fresh vegetables instead of canned stuff, but it's gonna take a lot of time. One of the big differences between us twins is that Mion doesn't have this issue. Sai feels responsible for this, but he can't rid me of that fear. It's still a flaw like this is actually a good thing. Otherwise, I'd be too perfect. Sai, sit at the table, would you? Smells good. Thank you for doing this. If it isn't enough food, you can go to a beef bowl place later or something. And don't turn off the TV. I hate having dinner in silence. Thanks for the meal. So, is it Sai? You came here for something, didn't you? I handed him a cup of tea. I could wait until dinner was over, but I wanted to get to the point quick. I thought I should wait until we finished. Would you mind if I talk while eating? It's been bugging me since you got here. It'd be much easier for me to eat if you started talking now. Received a phone call from the school today. Today? Aha, that's late. Sounds like they didn't want to make it public. So what happened? Akane took the call. She said she was going to tell your father when the time is right. Akane is my mom. That's what Kasai calls her. He's known her since before her marriage. So, what did she say? I was lucky she answered the phone, since she is relatively on my side. Other than calling you a brat, she didn't seem surprised by this outcome. I see. So she hasn't told Dad yet? She's probably waiting for the right moment. I think she's going to in a couple of days. Dad's on the hag's side, so he'll definitely talk to her if he hears about it. She'll have men bring me to her, and depending on my explanation, make me offer a finger or two. Oh, scary. I wish you could laugh it off, but please remember, you're not the only one who... Ow. You're eating too fast. I cooked too much rice and miso. You're gonna have to have another round. At least 3 helpings, alright? Damn, how much rice did she fucking make? A few days later, Mion told me that the hag had heard about my escape. Fair enough. Use tomato sauce out of those packs. Wait, what? Make a spaghetti sauce out of ketchup packets. Can we do that? It's mostly tomato. Ketchup is mostly tomato, right? And sugar. You have a cousin that refuses to drink water that comes in a plastic bottle, so we trigger by filling a glass bottle. Is tap water not good where you live? To be fair, I'm not like saying that's weird or anything. I've lived in a couple places with disgusting tap water. It's technically still potable, but man, you'd prefer bottled water most of the time. Yeah, ketchup's tomato, sugar, and vinegar. So theoretically, it'd be really weird, but you could use it as pasta sauce. You should might tweak the formula a lot, like say, axe all the sugar and vinegar. So, how'd she take it? She was furious. She said if you were at Okinawa, she'd get you right away. Scary. And? Is Dad doing anything? They hold a family council soon to see if any of the family members are hiding you. It doesn't look like she'll have the Greenhorn search for you all over town, though. Holding a family council means things will remain in the hag's hands alone. She won't search the town for me. It's like she's unofficially approving my presence. Of course, I'll get caught immediately if they find me in a large public place. Seems Mom did a lot to help me. I can tell she's being supportive. It's a long story, but my mom's sort of an outlaw, even though she's of the Sonozaki bloodline. A long time ago, she had a huge fight with the hag because she hated the family rules and traditions. She was even excommunicated. My mom's supposed to be the successor, but she was deprived of the title and Sis took her place instead. Tap water here is overtreated. It tastes like bleach. And you know what bleach tastes like. Why do you know what bleach tastes like? You shouldn't know that answer. You shouldn't know that question. The answer to that question. That's not healthy. Yeah, overtreated. As long as it's technically potable, it's fine. I mean, the way they treat water sometimes just tastes terrible. Like I used to have, I have like a massive bottle of lemon juice still because in my old place the water tasted terrible, and so I just like it'd always be refrigerated and it would always be like filled with lemon juice so that it would taste like really cheap lemonade. Because guess what? Making freaking lemonade out of it didn't actually taste that good. Well, making like the sugary lemonade kind. No. Do you mean bleach? Do you mean chlorine or bleach? Chlorine's reasonable. Bleach is a different story. Yeah, chlorine's reasonable. Bleach is that's risky. I'm surprised you're alive. Yeah. Chlorine's fine. Lots of people taste chlorine. Like you can get a mouthful of pool water. It doesn't taste great. It probably won't kill you. Like most indoor pools are fucking have shit tons of chlorine in them. Oh, she's quiet now. Mom's still an outlaw. She's always been on my side because I also hate rules and traditions. Dad was flaring at me first, but Mom pacified him. He can't win against her after all. Thanks. Let me know if something comes up. If things really go bad, I'm ready to leave town. I can't let Kasai, Uncle Yoshiro, or Mom lose face. Sis, I know what you're thinking. You're asking yourself, why I have to go through this, even though we're twins, aren't you? Mion was silent, and that meant yes. Is it fair? Only you have to live like this? It's absolutely not. Thanks. I appreciate your feelings. Tell me when you want to go out. I'll arrange my plans so I can trade places with you. She sounded apologetic. I shouldn't go quiet or agree with her. She sticks to things a little too much. Once she goes down, she'll stay there for a while. So I just told her simply, thanks. That's really nice of you. Alright, I'm hanging up now. Talk to you later. Okay. A smudged diary. Oh man. Okay. They're all diary entries of Mion. These first two chapters are super Mion focused. Satoko was crying while hiding behind my back. Oh, wait, who are we talking about now? She's been crying while clinging onto me, so my back was wet with her tears and snot. My aunt had been screaming hysterically, but she looked tired now. I suddenly realized it was already past 1 in the morning. She vomited out a series of screams one last time, then finally called it quits. Satoko seemed exhausted. She was looking down in a state of shock. Even after my aunt walked away, she didn't realize she'd been freed. So I stroked her head and told her, it's over, Satoko. Satoko twitched. Her eyes grew bright again and tears rolled down her cheeks. She looked at my face. She knew it was over, but wanted to hear it directly from me. She begged me with a look. To be honest, I was really exhausted too, so I felt a bit annoyed when she tried to make me say it. But I needed to pacify her, so I gently told her what she wanted to hear. She's done with her scolding. Let's go to sleep. Alright? Satoko clung to me while her tears continued to fall. She was crying again, silently. She was shivering pitifully. Her small back reminded me there was nobody else to protect her. Here, go brush your teeth, make your bed, and go to sleep. Satoko smiled faintly and nodded. I felt dizzy. As I was released from the strain, a harsh drowsiness fell on me. While Satoko was washing her face, I went to the toilet. I zoned out while watching my pee. In my distant dizziness, I almost missed the shot. I felt like I was being sucked into the toilet. I couldn't even remember what caused it. Why did my aunt start screaming today? Oh, okay. That felt somewhat incomplete. Which might be the best solution, honestly. Because now I want to read the next chapter and hope that the next tip actually continues that story. Like, is that Satoshi's perspective? That looks like it's Satoshi's perspective. How is it going? How does it go for Satoshi? Are we going to meet Satoshi today? Like, Shion could meet Satoshi. Or Mion, I guess. This is a year before, which means Satoshi is probably around for a few days before he gets fucking demoned away. Right? They might be introducing Satoshi through the tips, and then we meet him in this chapter. That's gonna be interesting. Oh, I already saved. I hope we get to meet Satoshi. I'm sure we're gonna meet him soon. I feel like that's like one of the biggest things about the timeline right now. It's set a year before Keiichi and his disappearance, which means Satoshi should be around. Which means we might be able to meet Satoshi, see what he's like. I don't know if this will reach all the way to Keiichi, because I don't know if it'll reach all the way to Keiichi, but it might. That'd be cool. Cool if it spans it. It'd be cool if it ends. I don't know. I'm looking forward to the next part.